Where do I begin with this one? Today we're going to be doing a review of one of the only movies that I watched in 2023 that have left me with what the fuck did I just watch? I'm talking about Saltburn. If you've watched Saltburn was written by Emerald Fennell. This is a second movie, I believe, after Promising Young Woman, a movie that I should watch. I remember when I was in film school, one of my first shorts that I wrote, the teacher was like, "Have you watched Promising Young Woman? You should watch it because you write similar to this lady." I'm like, okay. But I haven't watched it yet. I watched Saltburn though. And oh god, where do I even begin with this movie? I remember when I was watching the trailers, I really didn't understand a lot about it because a lot of push that they were making was it's a movie about vampires but without vampires. So I always felt as if when I was watching it, the character of Ollie was the one who was in danger throughout the entire thing. So I was like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen to him. Let me watch it. And then when you start watching it, you're like, wait, what? My first wait what moment is there's a time where one of the guys, one of the characters is masturbating in the tub and then he finishes and he leaves and the water is coming out of the tub and this Oli fella comes into the tub and starts drinking. Ah, man, it was disgusting, but it was what the hell am I watching? Like at that point, I think it's at that point whereby either you continue watching it or you stop and you walk out and you're like, I don't have time for this nonsense. That's what I felt when I was watching it. I continued. I couldn't believe what I was watching. We reached a point whereby at one time the guy gives oral sex to the lady and the lady's like, I'm on my period. Right now is not the time to do this. And this is like, I'm a vampire. And you're like, wait, what the man? I'm just telling you, this movie, for me, it was disturbing. I tried to watch it. I kept on. Like everything just became absurd and absurd. And I think that as the twists start to happen in it, you're like, oh, okay, I've caught on. You cannot surprise me anymore. And then boom, another surprise. Boom, another surprise. And I think it is well shot. It is well written. I mean, there's one part that I missed, which I listened to the DOP Linus when he was talking about it, and he's like they used the maze, and then the guy was interviewing him was like, oh, this is the same as with The Shining. In The Shining, I remember the maze. It's very apparent, like you see the miniature of it, and then you're in the maze. Whereas in this one, I don't really recall seeing the miniature of the maze, which probably it is in the beginning, but I wasn't paying much attention. I didn't see it. And then when you're finally in the maze, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. And then, but it doesn't end in a similar way, right? Like with The Shining, it's a different way. And they have this drone shot of the whole thing. And you're like, oh, okay. I see what's up. But other than that, I think that is the only thing that it takes away from. And then the other thing that caught my eye was the aspect ratio that they were using. I believe is the 1.33.1. This is an aspect ratio that I've seen in film school. Like a lot of people use it, which is something they were using. I was watching Citizen Kane the other time. It has a similar aspect ratio. So I felt like, oh, they were going back there. This is not something that I appreciate because obviously my TV is 16:9 and I want each inch of that TV taken care of. So to have black bars on the side of the TV is like and yeah, I know I should have watched the movie in the theaters, but I don't think that I would have. Yeah, I would have been disturbed, man, on the ride home if I had gone to the theater to watch this thing. Like, you should watch it if you haven't watched it because I can't even believe most of the stuff that happens in it. I remember when the end, the whole thing at the end is you realize this character is not whom they started out as. A lot of times when you're being taught about script writing is a lot of things happen to the character that change him. And whereas in this, it feels like the character knew the arc that he was going through. And I guess from an observational point of view, you can be like, oh, these things happen to change him. But it's like, no, he planned this, right? So these things didn't happen to him. He did it. These are his choices. And this is one of the things that I've struggled with in terms of script writing in school is there are these rules that are structured whereby it's things happen to your character that force them to change and do these things. But sometimes I'm like, if the story is written from the character's perspective, the character is deciding what they're doing and they're creating these moments in order to achieve a goal. They have a want. So for him, his want in the beginning is he wants to be friends with this guy. But then at the end of the movie, we realize his goal was far much bigger than this. His goal was to take over what these people have. And he achieves that in a most devious way. Because you start out with this family of these people, but at the end of it, he's in control and they're all gone, you know? So it's like, huh, how much of that happened to him and how much of that did he contribute? But the one thing that I also love about the movie is it doesn't really suffer a lot from exposition. It just it's well paced, it's greatly edited, and it hits the marks, you know. It makes you feel weird in moments that you're supposed to feel weird, and it brings you back to enjoying the movie, you know. And shout out to the writer, man. It's quite an amazing fit to be able to do, you know. From cinematography, you know, I had a friend who sent me a text and he's like, "You will love this movie. It's shot in the way that you like shooting." And I was like, "Huh, yeah," because there's not a lot of coverage. There's not a lot of that. It's the story. It's more from the audience perspective. It's like we are with Ollie, and then at times where we're supposed to be against him, we're against him, and then we're brought back through flashbacks to what happened. But we probably had figured out what happened because the audience is not that dumb. So it's a brilliant mind bending. You know, this is a solid mind. I want to say mind fuck that you can watch and takes you on that journey on that trip, man. Like it's a phenomenal movie to watch, and I hope you guys watch it. I hope you like it. Let me know in the comment section if you've watched Saltburn, what you thought about it. Very few movies leave me speechless. This one.